Overview of accounting research. Students will be able to identify key standard setters involved in establishing U.S. accounting guidance. Different standards govern each different research environment. Before performing research, it is necessary to know whose rules researchers are playing by. The FASB created the codification in 2009. The codification includes all still effective guidance from the two standard setting bodies that preceded the FASB, the CAP and the APB, as well as certain content issued by the SEC, which is authoritative for public companies. Non-public companies are not required to follow SEC guidance, but may find it helpful. This grid shows the standard setters for each research environment. The first two columns focus on preparer type, and the last two columns focus on auditor type. Accounting 2375 covers preparer types, private companies, and public companies. The standard setters are the FASB, consulting with the Private Company Council, and the SEC. Now we have a timeline of the primary standard setting bodies and the guidance issued. This timeline starts with the establishment of the SEC in 1934, and it continues on to present day. Again, the FASB codification was established in 2009, and the codification is the sole source of authoritative GAAP for non-governmental entities. All guidance in the codification has equal authority. The need for accounting guidance was first recognized during the Great Depression. Stock market crash in 1929 caused loss of public confidence in the markets. Investors and banks lost large sums of money. For the economy to recover, the public's faith in capital markets needed to be restored. The Securities and Exchange Acts of 1933-1934 created the SEC. One of the newly formed SEC powers was the authority to develop accounting standards. The SEC delegated this responsibility initially to the AICPA, which formed the committees, the CAP, and then formed the APB, and then next the SEC delegated this responsibility to the FASB. The SEC reserves the right to revoke the delegation. The AICPA was founded in 1887 and is the professional association for CPAs in the United States. The AICPA no longer issues standards that are considered GAAP. However, the AICPA remains the key authority in establishing standards for professional services such as auditing and for accountants' professional conduct. While the SEC has chosen to delegate the authority for setting accounting standards, today it is best known for its enforcement activities. There are 5 divisions: corporate finance, trading and markets, investment management, enforcement, economic and risk analysis. Periodically, the SEC issues accounting guidance for public companies. Examples include Regulations SX and SK, staff accounting bulletins, and financial reporting releases. These guidance will be covered in Accounting 2374. Now, a step back to review the early standard setters to whom the SEC delegated the standard setting authority. First, the CAP, the Committee on Accounting Procedure, that was formed by the AICPA and existed from 1939 until 1962. The CAP published accounting research bulletins, but they were not mandatory. The AICPA then formed the Accounting Principles Board, the APB. This existed from 1962 until 1973. The APB published APB opinions. Initially, these were not mandatory, but later they became authoritative when the AICPA began requiring disclosure of departures from GAAP. Criticisms of these early standard-setting boards: no conceptual framework, part-time board members, not independent. To remedy the concerns, the CAP was replaced by the APB, and later, in 1973, the APB was replaced by the FASB. The FASB is the current standard-setting body. It is overseen by the Financial Accounting Foundation. Guidance issued by the FASB is authoritative, must be followed to get a clean audit opinion. Both the AICPA and SEC recognize the FASB as the body with the authority to set accounting standards. The funding is through accounting support fees assessed to public companies. And you can look at this later to check your knowledge on this topic. Let's focus now on FASB resources, codification, and the website. The FASB creates and maintains the Accounting Standards Codification. The codification, we'll cover this in more detail in Chapter 2. Students have free access to the full professional version. The access is through our Blackboard course, and students must use this throughout the semester. The FASB website offers certain additional resources: original standards issued by the FASB and its predecessors, exposure drafts of proposed guidance, accounting standards updates, news, speeches, board member activities, and FASB projects. So do work with this, but remember that the research is through the professional version of the codification. Looking ahead, who will be the next accounting standard setter? The accounting standard setter may become the International Accounting Standards Board. The SEC has the decision, or the authority to make this decision.